When you picture the Megalodon, you probably picture this: a terrifying 60-foot-long great white shark on steroids, a mindless, stocky killing machine that ruled the ancient oceans through sheer brute force. For decades, pop culture, and honestly even mainstream science, told us this was the ultimate apex predator, a creature so powerful that nothing in the ocean could ever challenge it. But it turns out, almost everything we thought we knew about this monster was completely wrong. New, groundbreaking breakthroughs in paleontology have quietly shattered the myth piece by piece. The real Megalodon didn't look like a giant great white. It didn't hunt like one. And the reason it eventually went extinct is a psychological twist that almost no one saw coming. Today, we are unlearning the monster, stripping away decades of movie posters, toy shark figurines, and exaggerated documentary reenactments to get to the real animal hiding underneath all of that noise. So let's get into why we completely misunderstood the Megalodon, and why the truth is honestly far more interesting than the fiction. Let's start with the biggest lie: its looks. For over a century, if a scientist or a movie director wanted to recreate a Megalodon, they did something incredibly simple. They took a modern great white shark, multiplied its size by 3 or 4, and called it a day. They envisioned a thick, stocky, chonky torpedo of destruction, something that looked like it could barely fit through the ocean it was supposed to dominate. But there's a massive problem with studying ancient sharks. Sharks don't have bones. Their skeletons are made entirely of cartilage, which rots away into nothingness over millions of years, leaving almost nothing behind for scientists to study directly. Usually, all they leave behind are their terrifying, rock-hard, fossilized teeth, scattered across ocean floors and riverbeds around the world. But recently, a global team of scientists decided to re-examine a rare and extraordinary treasure, a partially preserved Megalodon vertebral column, one of the only fossilized skeletal remains of its kind ever discovered. They ran advanced CT scans on the fossil and carefully compared the results to the skeletons of modern sharks swimming in our oceans today. The results were nothing short of shockwaves through the scientific community. The Megalodon wasn't a bloated, stocky monster at all. It was actually significantly thinner and much longer than a great white of comparable weight. Imagine an elongated, sleek, hydrodynamic predator with a remarkably long torso and a completely different body profile than anything Hollywood ever put on screen. It wasn't an underwater tank lumbering through the water. It was a missile, built for speed, endurance, and distance, not brute bulk alone. This new, leaner body shape completely changes how we understand the way this creature actually lived and moved through its environment. And it leads us straight to its secret superpower, one that also doubled, quite tragically, as its ultimate curse. Most modern fish and sharks are cold-blooded. Their body temperature simply matches the water around them, rising and falling with the ocean itself. But chemical analysis of Megalodon teeth recently proved something remarkable: that the Megalodon was actually warm-blooded, or, scientifically speaking, regionally endothermic, capable of generating and retaining its own internal heat. This gave it a massive advantage over nearly every other predator in the sea. Being warm-blooded meant its muscles could contract and move faster, it could digest food much more quickly, and it could swim into freezing deep waters to hunt where other, cold-blooded sharks would literally freeze and shut down. But this incredible superpower came with a catastrophic catch. Think of the Megalodon like a biological Ferrari, a machine built purely for raw performance. It possessed incredible, high-performance power, but it burned through fuel at an absolutely alarming rate to maintain that performance. To keep its internal furnace running day and night, a Megalodon couldn't just eat whenever it happened to feel like it. It had to consume an astronomical number of calories every single day just to survive and function normally. And that desperate, constant need for fuel is exactly what shaped the way it actually hunted its prey. In the movies, the Megalodon just charges in, mouth wide open, biting ships and whales directly in half in one dramatic, chaotic motion. Brute force, mindless violence, pure spectacle for the camera. But the fossil evidence tells a much more calculated, disciplined story. Because the Megalodon was built long and lean, And because it desperately needed to secure its meals without wasting precious energy, it turned out to be a tactical genius rather than a mindless, thrashing brute. This kind of patient, calculated hunting strategy makes far more sense once you understand just how much energy this animal genuinely had to conserve. A reckless attack that failed, or one that left the Megalodon injured, wasn't just risky, it could be genuinely fatal for a creature burning calories this fast. Paleontologists have found numerous ancient whale fossils bearing distinctive Megalodon bite marks preserved in the bone itself. And crucially, these marks aren't randomly scattered across the skeletons like the chaotic damage you'd expect from a mindless attack. The Megalodon specifically and repeatedly targeted the flippers and tail flukes of giant whales. It didn't try to swallow its prey whole right away, and it didn't waste energy on a reckless, all-out assault. Instead, it used its immense biting power with surgical precision to dismantle the whale's steering and propulsion systems piece by piece. It would bite off the flippers, immobilize the animal completely, and then wait patiently and safely at a distance for the whale to weaken and bleed out, before finally settling in for a massive, calorie-dense feast. It wasn't a chaotic brute smashing blindly through the ocean. It was a highly disciplined, patient, and calculating tactical assassin. It's honestly crazy how much our understanding of ancient history can shift with just a handful of new fossils and a few clever CT scans, isn't it? A creature we thought we understood completely turns out to have been almost entirely misjudged. Now let's get to the part everyone actually wants to know. What actually killed the greatest predator to ever live? For a long time, the prevailing theory was simple, and frankly, a little unsatisfying. Climate change killed the Megalodon. The oceans cooled, the whales migrated toward the colder poles, and the Megalodon simply couldn't handle the drop in temperature. But remember what we just learned a few minutes ago. The Megalodon was warm-blooded. It could handle the cold perfectly fine, arguably better than almost anything else in the ocean. So what really happened to wipe out an animal this dominant? The answer isn't that it couldn't survive the changing environment around it. The answer is that it got outsmarted, outcompeted, and very slowly starved out by an unexpected rival nobody expected to matter. Around 3.6 million years ago, right in the middle of this upheaval, just as the Megalodon's world was quietly shifting beneath it, a new kind of predator evolved into existence, the direct ancestor of the modern great white shark, alongside early orcas hunting in the same waters. These new predators were much smaller than the Megalodon, which meant they required only a small fraction of the calories that the massive Megalodon needed just to get through a single day. They were also considerably faster, they reproduced far more quickly, and crucially, they hunted together in highly coordinated, intelligent packs, sharing information and strategy in a way the solitary Megalodon simply never could. As whale populations shifted, migrated, and gradually dwindled, these smaller, far more efficient predators began sweeping through the smaller marine mammals scattered across the ocean. They were, in a very real sense, quietly clearing out the buffet before the Megalodon could even pull up a chair to eat. The Megalodon didn't lose its crown in some massive, bloody, cinematic battle against a rival. It lost a slow, grinding, invisible war of attrition that played out over countless generations. It was simply too big, too hungry, and too biologically expensive to keep surviving in a world where smaller, smarter, more coordinated predators were quietly and steadily taking over every corner of the ocean. The true story of the Megalodon isn't about some lumbering Hollywood monster crashing through the waves. It's about a finely tuned, sleek, warm-blooded marvel of evolution that dominated the planet's oceans for millions upon millions of years, right up until the planet itself changed and its own massive size, once its greatest strength quietly became its downfall. We completely misunderstood the Megalodon because, deep down, we wanted to see a monster, something simple and terrifying we could easily wrap our heads around. But the actual scientific reality of what this creature truly was is so much more fascinating than that. A sleek, warm-blooded, tactical hunter, undone not by ice or freezing water, but by smaller, hungrier, smarter rivals, who simply needed less to survive than it did. And honestly, when you really sit with that idea, That might be the most fascinating twist of this entire story. A reminder that in nature, being the biggest and most fearsome is never quite the guarantee of survival that we assume it to be.